Here actually has been, and it keeps coming up over and over. What do you say about those who accompany the staunch followers of Muhammad ibn Hadi, but they say they are only our friends? If they are your friends, then advise them that Muhammad ibn Hadi has been warned against by the scholars. From them Sheikh Rabi', Sheikh Ubaid. These are his teachers, by the way. These are his teachers. For 30 years they taught him, especially Sheikh Rabi'. They are his teachers and they know him. No one knows Muhammad ibn Hadi and his hal better than these men. So don't tell me someone in Algeria said he's okay, who's probably met him twice or 3 times in his life. You want to ask? Ask those who know him. Ask the men of the city in which he lives, Medina and Nabawiyah. Ask them. Ask Sheikh Rabi', and Sheikh Rabi' has spoken, and Sheikh Ubaid. Don't tell me that you bumped into someone in Morocco in a village and he said Muhammad bin Hadi is okay, when you have the Imam of Jarh wa Ta'deel, Muhaddith, scholar, Allama, who has been teaching the Sunnah for the last 70 or 65 or 70 years, who has traveled the world teaching Hadith, Aqeedah, Salafiyah, an Imam of the Sunnah, praised by over 50 or 60 scholars of his age. This is Sheikh Rabi' and Sheikh Ubaid. They have sat with him and they have advised him and they have written about it and they have spoken about it. And it is recorded on audio and written in article after article after article, running into hundreds of pages about his errors, his tabdi' of the Salafiyun, his splitting of their ranks, warning against the scholars, accusing believers, Salafis, of being adulterers and fornicators and drunkards, cursing them and reviling them. A man against whom a judgment has been given in the courts of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, appeals that were rejected that he tried to make. So the ruling of the Sharia and the ruling of the courts and the ruling of the scholars who know applies against him and upon him. And don't tell me what does Fulan say and Fulan say in Algeria and what does Fulan say in Riyadh, as if you're looking for some sort of ijma'. Because that is the manhaj of Ali al-Halabi. And that is the manhaj of those Hizbiyun who say that you don't have, that the jarh is not mu'tabar up until there is a consensus or an ijma' or some sort of majority vote upon whether a person is a deviant. Deviation is based upon evidences and proofs. Things that we've seen ourselves. Myself, Abu Hakim, Uwais Tawil, Abdul Ilah Al-Ahmami, Hassan Al-Somali. In our faces, right, that we heard from our ears from this man, Muhammad ibn Hadi. And there is not a single person sitting in Birmingham, not one of them, who knows Muhammad bin Hadi better than me and Abu Hakim. And Allah knows best. Not one person sitting. But I would say there is not a single person in the United Kingdom, whether Arab or Ajami, who knows Muhammad ibn Hadi better than myself, Abu Hakim, Uwais Tawil, Abu Idris and Abdul Ilah Al-Ahmami. Not one, Arab or Ajami. And Allah knows best. And what we heard from him at the beginning of this fitna. So if these people are your friends, advise them. Don't keep company or defend or protect or aid or support a wrongdoer, a splitter of the ranks of Ahlus Sunnah, declaring Salafis to be mubtadi'ah. The day that we turned and advised him and told him that we don't agree with him, then he turned against us. Just for not agreeing with him. From the day that Shaykh Rabi advised him, more than 4 years ago, how many times do you think he has stepped into the house of Shaykh Rabi and knocked on his door and said, Waliduna, give me more advice. I need more clarity. How many times do you think he's been? Sifr. Not once. How many times do you think that he's visited Shaykh Ubaid? These are his elders. Shaykh Rabi, I think he's 30 years older than him. More than 30, about 35 years. Shaykh Ubaid, over 30 years older than. These are your mashayikh. These are your elders. These are your scholars. If you don't want to sit with them, go to Riyadh and play to Shaykh al-Fawzan your audio. Play your audio to Shaykh al-Fawzan. Say, Shaykh, this is what I said. Irbid, Ahir. Right, whatever else terms that he used. This is what I said, ya Shaykh, advise me. Why haven't you done that? And Shaykh al-Fawzan is nearly 40 years your senior. Muhammad bin Hadi is a few years older than me. Why didn't you go to them? Right at the beginning of the fitna. You want the haqq? Go to the kibar ulama. You went to Shaykh Rabi advised you 3 times. Then he sent you messages. Shaykh Ubaid recorded a message for you. Not once, not twice, 3 times. This is Shaykh Rabi and Shaykh Ubaid having concern for you. Shaykh Rabi invited you to his house and you went. In fact, you went to the house of Shaykh Rabi and Shaykh Rabi advised you. Okay, you don't want to take from these ulama of the accusations that you made. The deviation, now that you're leading how many shabab? He rang me in Birmingham more than once, 3-4 times, warning me against the students of Shaykh Ubaid and Shaykh Rabi'. Then eventually saying that I tell the brothers at Maktaba Salafiyya, remove all the recordings of Ubaid al-Jabri from your website. Well, we're muqallidun. What did I say throughout the whole of this? We have no ta'assub, tahazzub. It's not about ashkhas. It's not about personalities. It was the same in the time of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal when it came to Al-Karabisi and Al-Muhasibi and others. Not to say that I'm making tabdi of the man, abadan. But it's the same principle. Haqq is the haqq. How can you speak about Karabisi when he's a big alim? How can you speak about Yaqub bin Shayba when he's a big alim? This is Ahmad ibn Hanbal. But who will understand these affairs, my brothers and sisters? Except for the one who sits in the durus and he understands something of the ilm of Jarh wa Ta'deel. About enjoying the good and forbidding the evil. About unifying the ranks of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Whether it be min ba'id or min qareeb. That we unite the ranks of Ahlul Sunnah having a united word upon the kitab and the sunnah and the way of the Sahaba radiallahu, not your whims and desires. So if you say about those who accompany the followers of Muhammad, why are they still following Muhammad ibn Hadi? What are they waiting for? Revelation? What do you want? What are you waiting for? You know Muhammad ibn Hadi better than we do. Because that's the argument of the Hizbi. That I will not accept up until I hear it. Did you hear it with your own ear? Actually, I did hear it with my own ears. Not that it's a condition. It's not a shart that I must hear the deviation with my own ears. As long as there is an authentic chain of narration or something written or something recorded. Sufficient. But as it happens in this particular case, I was there. Abu Hakim was there. Uwais Tawil was there. Abdullah al-Ahmami was there. Hassan al-Somali was there. And others, in fact, sitting in front of him. And he's reviling and cursing. Fulan kadhab, Fulan khabith, Fulan kada, Quran fattan. About who? About mashayikh, students of knowledge, students of Shaykh Rabi, students of Shaykh. Then when we leave and we say, actually, we don't agree with you, then he does the same to the next group that comes about us. This is how you split ranks of Ahlus Sunnah. That's not about uniting and making the heart stronger and increasing the numbers upon the truth. That's about dividing and reviling and cursing That's not from the sunnah of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to accuse a believer, a married man, of being a fornicator. What happens in an Islamic court if you do that? Either you bring 4 witnesses or you're lashed. That's just one of his problems. What about Sheikh Rabi when he advised you? Sheikh Rabi's advice in the early days had nothing to do with the qadh. Nothing to do with the qadh, because the qadh came after his public lecture. But he sat with Sheikh Rabi 3 times before he made the qadh. So they say, oh, but you sat with Sheikh Rabi, but the qadh he didn't really intend to say that he's an adulterer. But that's not his sitting with Sheikh Rabi'. His sitting with Sheikh Rabi was over the other issues, and he's dividing Ahlul Sunnah, warning against Ahlul Sunnah. All of these years, the scholars put every effort possible to keep the ranks of the Salafiyun united. The people of Sunnah, Salafiyah, Hadith and Athar, that we are united. Closing all of the means, all of the asbab of ikhtilaf, so that we love each other for the sake of Allah. That we feel the pain of each other. When a Salafi suffers, this man's phoning Britain, France, Holland, Belgium, Germany, Algeria, Morocco. He's phoning people in every place right across to Indonesia, warning against the people of Sunnah and Salafiyah. Cut them off. Don't talk to them. If they come to your land, tell all the Salafis to abandon them. How do I know he did that? Because he did that with us. To me. And he did it to brothers in Morocco. And he did it to brothers in Algeria. Ahlus Sunnah are supposed to be united. وَاعْتَسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. You're talking about unity and not dividing. And you are the cause of division. Where's that from the Sunnah? That's the manhaj of Sheikh bin Baz. Sheikh bin Baz is commanding Ahlul Sunnah to be united. Don't divide. Abandon all of the means and the asbab of ikhtilaf, whether small or great. That's why we don't backbite. That's why we don't slander. That's why we don't carry namima. We don't scandal monger. That's outside the arena of bid'ah. That we don't even outbid each other. If I go to a brother and say, how much is this? He says 50 pence. Then you come along and says, don't give it him for 50, I'll give you 60 for that. That's not allowed in Islam. That you go to someone, he's done the deal, then you come and try to break that deal because you want that thing. So you say, I'll give you more. Why? Because you're going to hurt his heart. If a man proposes to a woman, then you're not allowed to come and say, I propose, you don't go with him, come with me. Why? What's that going to do? That's going to break his heart. So what's Muhammad bin Hadi doing? These are nothing compared to what he's done. If the Sharia forbids that, a Muslim is one whom other Muslims are safe from his tongue and safe from his hand. No one's safe from his tongue. Sheikh Rabi is not safe from his tongue. He's an old man. He has around him an inner circle of people who are influencing. You can't take from Sheikh Rabi. He's too old. Trying to diminish the worth of the Sheikh. Same with Sheikh Ubaid. You can't take from Sheikh Ubaid. Sheikh Ubaid is not worth anything in ilm. Same with the other mashayikh, young and old. Anyone who stood in his way became an enemy to him. And you're telling me that these people are your friends? If they're your friends, advise them. Say, are you upon what he's upon? Do you approve of what Muhammad bin Hadi did? If you do, I don't want nothing to do with you. I want to protect my religion. I want to be with the people who love each other for the sake of Allah. And they hate for the sake of Allah. They give for the sake of Allah. They take for the sake of Allah. We want our communities united, not divided. And that's why if you look at Britain and parts of America, alhamdulillah, East Coast especially, through all of these fitan, predominantly or overwhelmingly, the Salafis have remained united. Why? Because we spent 30 years, by Allah's permission and from Allah's bounty, remained united upon the haqq, because we never hid and we never shied away from rudud. You mentioned the term rad or rudud. You're one of those. Because they try to put this false fear in you, that rad is something dispraiseworthy.